This is Tanya Adams with iGirlTechNews, and today my guest is Jenny Q. Ta. And Jenny is the founder and CEO of Squeaky.com. Welcome, Jenny.
Hey,
Hi.
Tanya, how are you?
Fine, how are you? Great. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, I want to ask, can you tell us about Squeaky?
Squeaky is the first of its kind social networking, not networking. We are the innovators behind the term social networking. Squeaky gives individuals, businesses, celebrities, politicians, nonprofit, the ability to monetize their profiles in unprecedented ways. Squeaky offers features similar to YouTube, Instagram, crowdfunding, emails, e-commerce like eBay, Amazon, to even deals and coupons, fundraising. We've actually just launched a couple more features like stock photos, events, and jobs, where employers can seek out employees and job seekers can post their resumes. Everything is for free. We're literally the Swiss knife of social networking platform. With one login, one password, a user can access to all of these features under one roof. So we're one of a kind.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. How did you come up with the idea for Squeaky?
Well, prior to Squeaky, I was on Wall Street for about 18 years. I started out very early. Hopefully I don't look too old. While I was on Wall Street, I have always been interested in tech. Some of my biggest profits for myself and for clients are always in tech stocks, such as Intel, AMD, Rambus, Qualcomm, to even some .coms, even Amazon and eBay. And software and PCs like Microsoft and Dell computers. Then around 2010, the year 2010, I believe, a couple of friends of mine invited me to check out a few social networking sites. And then after using them for about a few months, I realized that there were a lot of things missing. There was a lot of missing links to them. Users were hopping from one site to the next. Again, if they wanted to do videos, they'll go to YouTube. They wanted to do socializing, it'll be Facebook. They wanted to buy, sell something, then they will go to Amazon and eBay. They wanted to crowdfunding, they would go to Kickstarter, etc., etc. And for another example would be one of my favorite sharks on the hot show ABC network, Shark Tank, is billionaire Mark Cuban. And I noticed, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Cuban has a Facebook account and his username is all spelled out, Mark Cuban. Then if you follow him on Twitter or Instagram, it's actually M. Cuban. Okay, so there's a difference there. And then if Mr. Cuban has an account with Amazon and eBay, it's probably different. If he has an email address, it's probably different. And if he crowdfunding, which I don't think so, he's a billionaire, it will probably be different. So to me, I believe that that's a problem, or at least one of the major problems. So I went out to try to resolve it by getting all of these best features widely used by everyone, combine them all under one roof using one ID, one password, and then from there, as you utilize all of these features, you can monetize it as well and make some money for yourself.
That's great, because I know I have different identities everywhere too, and it would be great to have them all in one place. And
yes.
This is good for individuals and for businesses and for everyone, correct?
Everyone, that is correct.
That's great.
Celebrities, politicians, we welcome them all.
Can you talk a little about what you did before Squeaky? I know you talked about Wall Street.
I started out very early when I was 18 or 19. I started out just being like a new accounts clerk at Shears & Lehman Brothers, which now after a ton of mergers, they're now Smith Barney. So I started out very early. You know, then again, as I've mentioned, I've always specialized in technology stocks. Immediately right before Squeaky, I was the founder and CEO of 2 broker-dealers. I launched the first one when I was just 25 years old. My firm managed over $250 million of assets under management. I was raised as a welfare child by a single mom, and I became a self-made millionaire when I was 27. So I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. I'm very blessed.
That is. That is so inspirational as well. And me being a single mom, I love hearing that. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. So what has been the biggest lesson you've learned by starting your own business? And you've done that a couple of times now. So.
Yes. Squeaky would be my third, and like they said, you know, third is the charm. The biggest lesson of all, I believe, is success does not come overnight. When I go around telling my stories, it just sounds so easy. Everybody thinks, oh my gosh, you know, it's like a walk in the park. But what they don't know is it takes a lot of long hours. I mean, even to today, running Squeaky, there are nights when I would be starting to go to sleep like around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I will be having a conference call at 7 a.m. So just 2 hours of sleep. You know, a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, a lot of endurance. And one thing I believe is most important is you have to stand firm on your own belief. A lot of people around you are going to dictate or going to, they sort of say, advise you and take you to many different directions. And I believe that if an entrepreneur or an inventor, an innovator, spend the time doing what others are telling you, you're going to lose track of who you are. You're going to lose track of the core you, what makes you that person who invented that thing. So you need to stick to yourself, believe in yourself. It was you who invented it, you know, thought about it, and so you should take what you have and run with it.
I think that's wonderful advice. That's great. What personality traits do you think are important to be a successful entrepreneur?
Well, there are many, many, many. I've had many successful entrepreneurs, friends, or I know a lot as well. And to be frank, a lot of them are very arrogant. They are very rude, to the point sometimes I've witnessed that they even bully their own team members, which I find it is extremely unnecessary because successful entrepreneurs are supposed to be leaders, and leaders need to be role models for the next generations. A leader can be strong, but not necessarily should you be rude. A leader can be proud of yourself. I am very proud, but you do not need to be arrogant. The same as being kind, treating your employees, treating your business partners, you know, by being kind does not mean that you are weak. So being bold to the extent of not being a bully. Those are all the core beliefs that I believe when I ran my first 2 companies, and right now with my third one is Squeaky.
That's great. I've seen the arrogant entrepreneur who bullies their employees. When I was very young, I worked at a place for a very famous person who had a great business that's very well known, and he was a big bully.
Wow.
I remember that, and you're right. I mean, when you are a role model and you're kind like that as well, you get a lot of loyalty from your employees as well, and they love helping you succeed and being part of the whole thing.
To comment on what you've said, you know, I mean, I think if I were to be a man and if I were to be kind, then you know, people take it better. But sometimes it's even more difficult when you are a woman leader and you're being kind, then people would always say, oh, she's a weak leader. That's not necessarily true. And then, you know, but again, that's a different topic. But, you know, like what you've mentioned is a lot of leaders, because they've gotten to that level. They're very, you know, they say that they're bossy, but sometimes they don't even see themselves of being arrogant, which is exactly what you were saying.
Because if women do come off being a little bit weak sometimes if they're too nice. So how is it to walk? How do you walk that line where you're confident and assertive, but you're not considered a big B, you know?
Right, I got you.
Or too weak. I mean, how do you, as a woman, do you navigate that?
Well, you know, in my personal experience, there are just basically two areas. One area would be when you sit in a board, or when you're sitting in a meeting, when you're making a deal, okay? You are that woman surrounded by all of these men. Probably you're the only woman there, okay? You know, your sternness and how you're being bold is by the decisions that you make at that table, okay? Whatever it is that they may judge of you, you know, of course you just brush it off. If they believe that you're weak, then they're going to play the card that, oh, just stick her with that, she's going to take it. But if you are bold and if you are strong, then you are going to give them an answer that they did not expect. So when that meeting ends, they may not have the answer or the you know, the deal that they believe that they would take from you because you are that woman. So my advice to other women entrepreneurs are two ways. You be bold and you be strong when you sit with other men leaders making a deal, okay? Whatever else gesture or whatever, brush it off, because that is always going to be there no matter what. Then the second scenario is, you know, on a normal day basis, when you are that CEO, when you are that boss surrounding you, you kid around, you be your normal self, and your staff would know if you're stern or if you're weak. Obviously, I've hired many men in my life. Men work for me, and you know, even if you know you interview some of or most of those men today, I believe they respect who I am. When I say things, it's like a nail, you know, on the wall, you know, just one time. So that's, you know, you don't talk strong. Your action must proven that you are that bold and that leader that leads a company as it should.
What do you think is a common mistake entrepreneurs make, and what can be done about it?
Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make, I've seen, is the ability to manage his or her finances. Fortunately with me, I've had many years on Wall Street, so finance is like a walk in the park for me. But for many entrepreneurs, the strength and the weaknesses of a startup is cash flow. And managing finances is so important, because one financial mistake can break a company. So again, the basic to your question is cash flow. A startup, being an entrepreneur, you need to know how to juggle what to spend and what not to spend. Just because you have money in the bank, you need to divide it out X amount of months to make sure you just don't see, oh, I have so much money in the bank, let's just burn it now. Once when that's done, I'm going to go find new money. That's not how you run a successful company.
That's great advice. I like that. What do you think the tech industry needs to do so more females will be interested?
Well, personally, again, I have both a finance and a technology background. I personally believe that it doesn't start from the tech industry. But I believe that it should start from the financial industry. There should be more female venture capitalists, VCs. I mean, let's go back and talk about Shark Tank on ABC, the show on ABC again. There are a total of, I believe, 5 sharks, but sometimes there's a 6th shark coming in. So let's just count all 6 sharks. I mean, there's Mark Cuban, there's Mr. Wonderful, there's Damien, there's Robert. So that's 4 men. And the 2 females would be Barbara and Lori. So that's like, what, 1/3, okay? So 1/3 on a nationalized network like Shark Tank. But I believe in the world of VC, the percentage of female VCs is much, much less than that 1/3, okay? So if we boost the number of female VCs, okay, that would be the ultimate answer, you know, to the tech industry having more females would be interested, because men VCs tend to fund other men innovators. If we have more women VCs, then more female innovators will get funded to take their inventions to new heights.
I think you're right. No, I think you're right, because when I think about it, we're always thinking, what should the tech industry do? But if the money is where chooses what gets funded.
The money.
Yes, and people normally will fund what they're interested in or what they like. So it makes perfect sense to me that if we had more women, we'd have more women being funded and their ideas coming to fruition. What's the one thing every entrepreneur should think about before starting a new business?
Well, it's funny. I keep saying it's my own recipe, and I think it is, and I call it the myth recipe with the silent I. So it's MFF, and it stands for money, friends, family, okay, myth. Now, what that means is you need money to fund your own invention until it is strong enough to seek outside funding. Then you would need friends and family who would literally, bluntly, and truthfully tell you if what you've just invented is awesome or it should be trash, okay? If your own family and friends, the close ones, do not believe in your own inventions, then that is already a huge problem to begin with, and I would advise for you to reconsider your invention if your friends and your family does not even believe in it. That's my core belief, is myth, MFF.
Okay, is that because they would also be your first buyers, you think, the ones closest to you?
Yeah, most definitely, and you know, that leads to, you know, funding and stuff. You know, of course, if your family and your friends, I mean, you can ask a lot of entrepreneur startups, innovators, they tend to go to their family first to get a loan or to get investors and stuff like that. So you are absolutely right that if your own family and friends do not believe in you, they're not going to give you a dime. And if they don't give you a dime, who's going to give you that first dime? You either that or you've got to have a big savings account to fund yourself, you know, so.
Yeah, you're right. What advice would you give a female who wonders if she should try entrepreneurship?
Well, what I would ask her is, why spend time wondering, okay? Just do it. Because I would advise her is, don't be afraid to fail. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they're wondering if they should try or not. Because why? Because they're afraid to fail. But for me, I would say, no, don't be afraid to fail. What you should be afraid is not to try something that you believe in. See, I think twisted, okay? I mean, most people said, no, I shouldn't become an entrepreneur because why? The answer would be, oh, because I'm afraid I'm gonna fail. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose all this money. But when you ask me, if I have that idea that I believe this is gonna be a hit, failing, I don't care about failing. I would be afraid to not try for it and take that all the way up. So that's my advice for a female who wonders if they should try entrepreneur or not. Don't wonder, just do it.
I love that.
Is that a Nike slogan? Just do it?
It is.
I think I stole Nike's slogan. Just do it.
I think so, but it's wonderful.
Yes.
What gets you through the difficult days, and what inspires you?
Wow. Difficult days, again, are many, 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 many. You know, for simplicity-wise, I mean, I live very near a beach, so I would jog on the beach. That helps you clear a lot of things. I mean, jogging on the beach alone is actually better for me. You know, you don't have that surrounding of saying, you know, Jenny, you should do that, or Jenny, you shouldn't do that. Jenny, why do you do this? You know, all these things are clogging up. So, you know, to release that stress for me, I would jog on the beach by myself. I love listening to music to release stress. A few, very few trustworthy friends around you would help a lot as well. But ultimately, it's just as simple as like you look at a child who just trip and fall. You know, he might cry or she might cry, but what does he or she do? Stand right back up and just continue on. Being an entrepreneur, being in business, being the CEO is exactly like that. Just keep on standing back up for each and every time you fall down. You know, that is the ultimate lesson. What inspires me, actually, is the evolution of technology being disrupted. That's the ultimate thing that inspires me to move on. Is I love seeing technology, the evolution of technology being disrupted. That's just awesome to me.
I think you're awesome. This has been wonderful talking to you. You're just so inspiring, so awesome. I just love it. Thank you so much for being with us today. And how can we learn more about Squeaky?
Well, it's simple. I would like everyone to just visit squeaky.com, and that's SQEEQEE.com. Check out our website, register for a free profile. All of our features are free. There's no charges to anything. Go check it out. It's like a mall, so don't be afraid to explore. If you have any questions whatsoever, send an email to info@squeaky.us. Our website is a .com, but all of our email extension is a .us. So info@squeaky.us, and we will certainly be there to help you.
Oh, Jenny, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today.